everybody. How is it going today? Hope you guys are well. In this video, I'm going to give you a little show and tell of my favorite decks with the explanations of the background stories of each deck. And if you feel attracted to any of these decks while I'm telling you about them, at the end of each story there's going to be a one-card reading that, if you feel like you resonate with the deck, is going to be for you. Alright? So we are going to get started with my very first ever tarot deck, the Aleister Crowley Thoth Tarot. This was the first deck that I've received as a gift from my roommate in college. She was a very interesting girl who was into all kinds of medieval stuff, from instruments to clothing to history and everything, and she told me about the tarot. She is actually the first person to ever tell me about the tarot. I haven't really heard about it before, I think. And so she did a tarot reading for me, and she also did my astrological chart. And I just was intrigued by all of it. And she could see that I was really into it. So she decided to go ahead and gift me my first deck. And this is it. This was approximately 8 years ago. Maybe even 9 years ago. I think, yeah, must have been around 2010. So, this is not an easy deck to start with. It's not as obvious and self-explanatory as the Rider-Waite, but I just felt so drawn to it. The imagery and, the illustrations, that it was just really easy for me to learn the basic meanings of the tarot, because I was just so curious about it, I guess. And I just had this feeling all throughout that I already somehow knew the meanings of the cards. I just had to remind myself of what they meant. And so, not long after I received this deck, I started giving readings to my friends and people that I barely knew. I'd go to bars and do readings for drunken people, which was a lot of fun. And actually, if you smell this deck, to a certain extent you can still smell this musty cigarette smoke kind of smell, but I swear to you, it's nice. It's not a bad smell. Back then it was allowed to smoke in bars, not anymore. In Hungary anyways. And so I started out by giving readings because I felt like the best way for me to learn would be to just try it and practice. And I think it was a good decision, and it's what I would recommend to anyone starting out, is that to just jump into it without too much fear. reservation. Don't be shy, just do it. And the other thing is to keep a tarot journal. Almost immediately after I've got this deck, I started writing a tarot journal. So I have a record of tarot journals dating back to 2011. I mean, I actually have lost the one from 2011, but from 2012. I have everything. I have all the monthly readings that I've done for myself. And it's kind of almost like a journal, a diary of some sort infused with the tarot. And that's invaluable to me because it's my experience with the tarot, and I build my readings upon these experiences. And I'd like to encourage you as well, if you are starting out, to start journaling as soon as you can. Write down your impressions, your feelings, your insights regarding how the cards are connecting with your life. Because that's the best way to learn. Alright, so if you felt drawn to this deck, we're going to pick a card for you. Alright, interesting. It's called Jötrelem. That's kind of an archaic word in Hungarian for suffering. This is the Five of Pentacles. And another thing that I love about this deck is that the imagery, although it is often very abstract, especially when it comes to the minor arcana, it's still very expressive. So this card is expressing the emotions of loss, of feeling lost, and having lost something. So this card is an indication that today's meditation for you should be about losing things and dealing with loss, and especially on the material level, your attachment to things, to money, to objects, items, material possessions. This card is just asking you to have a look and examine your relationship to those things, and especially when it comes to sacrificing them or giving them up or losing them, having them taken away from you. All right, let's move on to the next deck. This is called the Heindel Deck. And this is a deck that I received from a very, very good friend of mine. His name is Pedro, and you might have heard about him before if you watch my videos, because I have mentioned him before. He is a Reiki master. He works as a Reiki master in Lisbon, Portugal. And he's also an excellent tarot reader. He has done some very powerful readings for me over the years. And I'm just really flabbergasted by his sensitivity. So he's a very sensitive soul, but he has just such a such a powerful way of revealing things to you. His reading style is very gentle, so he's not the type to make you cry at all. I mean, I did cry at some of his readings, but not because I was hurt, but because I felt the process of purification through the reading that he gave me. So anyway, he gifted me this deck, which is one of my favorites. It's so wonderful. It's really beautiful and such a special thing, because I know that it is from a special friend. Oh, and I love the illustrations. They are just so mind-blowingly beautiful. So we have this friendship with Pedro, which was formulated via YouTube. So that's why I'm immensely thankful to YouTube, because I have connected with so many people over the years, like-minded people who support me and connect with me on a spiritual level. It's such an amazing gift, I believe. And so we started talking because he sent me a message, and he actually came to visit me in Hungary, and I've also visited him in Portugal. So this is something that a friendship that started in the virtual space, but then it blossomed into something in the actual material world. So yeah, so this is why I love YouTube, by the way. I'm so excited to be living in this era. It's so ripe with opportunities and just adventures of this sort. If you think back on what the media was even 50 years ago, and YouTube is not that old. I think it started around 2006, 7, something like that. But since then, it has become such an organic part of many of our lives that we sort of forget what it used to be like. Remember when, if you wanted to express yourself in a audio visual way, you couldn't really do that because you'd have to work with a TV network, you'd have to have your own show, you'd have to adhere to the wishes of advertising companies and all that stuff. And it's not just about video production, but also music as well. You'd have to sign with a label and listen to all the crap that they were telling you. Nowadays, you can really be your own person. I, for one, would not like to have advertisements on my videos, and I do not allow YouTube to put advertisements on my videos. So if you see any advertisements, please let me know, because I did not give YouTube permission to do that, and I'm not receiving any revenue from that. It's a conscious decision on my part. That's how I want to do things, because this is an ASMR channel, and I think loud ads are very annoying, especially in this context. So if you ever see an advertisement on my videos, please let me know so that I can do something about it. I started hearing stories of people being in a similar situation as me, not giving permission to YouTube to show ads on their videos, and the commercials still showing up for some wild reason. So that's why I'm asking you to please inform me if you see anything like that happening. But anyway, the bottom line is still the same. I'm able to produce the kind of content that I want without any major restrictions. I can just do what I love, tell you guys about the tarot, and make videos that I want to make the way I want to make them. It's such a beautiful gift. And I'm just so happy and thankful to all of my supporters on Patreon. If you guys are watching, just want to say thank you, because you are making all of this possible. Do you like these illustrations? Aren't they beautiful? And this is an interesting deck as well, because it just infuses so many different types of symbolic imagery. It has the I Ching showing up here and there, and we have some Hebrew letters, I believe that's what they are, from the Kabbalah. And we also have, some mythological references. So if you are connecting with this deck, I'll just pick a card for you in a moment. Oh, here we go. This is why this deck is so special. It's just such an interesting mix of different things. We have the Venus of Willendorf showing up here as an agent of the energy of the Queen of Cups. So, as you might know, the Venus of Willendorf was a kind of a ritualistic tool in the prehistoric times for fertility rituals. So that's why she has these exaggerated features to embody the idea of fertility. So this is not a real woman. It's not a person. It's an idea embodied. And prehistoric man used this little sculpture as a token or a symbolic representation of the idea of motherhood and fertility and sexuality. So the Queen of Cups, in your case, or for you today, is also a representation of femininity, of fertility. And if you're a woman watching this card is asking you to think about what it means for you to be a creator of life. It's not exclusively necessarily about childbirth, although that can be an important part of it, but it's also the spiritual significance that women have, this ability to create and nurture. So this card is asking you to meditate on that. If you're a man, then this card is asking you to find this energy within you, nevertheless, because we are all made up of these two opposing energies of masculine and feminine. We are yin and yang infused into one.